Hello and welcome back to my channel, everybody. As you can see, I have come to Fort Nelson, Portsdown Hill. It's very similar forts we've been to, and today we are in a flight restriction zone, so I had to phone the local air traffic control. They have a helipad quite local to here, so I had to do my due diligence on that, and I got a flight approval a few minutes ago. So I shall be getting the door up in a moment, and then we will stick to the sort of outsides of the fort because there are children's activities going on inside the fort today, after speaking to the management in there and spoke to their team, who were very nice and very helpful. So that's what we're going to be doing, and I will give some history on the fort. So what do we know about Fort Nelson? Well, Fort Nelson was built to protect the city of Portsmouth from a possible invasion from the French in the 1860s. It took 10 years to construct the Victorian port and was formed part of the ring of military defences called the Palmerston Fort, designed to safeguard a naval city. I've been to a number of these forts previously, haven't we? We've been to Fort Pembroke, we've been to Fort Ridley, and now we're at Fort Nelson, and Fort Southwick looks to be our next one on the list, and that looks quite incredible. I've just passed it on the way here. That looks a really good one to do, so looking forward to doing that. It's got a huge tank in front of the fort, so that's going to be very interesting, and get some selfies as we go. Although the French didn't invade, but the Fort Nelson played an important part in the First World War as a training camp. In the Second World War it was an ammunition store. Today Fort Nelson is home to the Royal Armouries, national collection of artilleries, and home to the big guns. The museum houses over 700 pieces of artillery from across the world, which span 600 years of history. Visitors can also explore the fort's barracks, guard room, tunnels and ramparts. So we're probably standing on the moat, aren't we? There's probably a moat going around as well, so... yeah. So as you can see, this is the naval gun breech-loading 14-inch Mark 7. The last of the British big guns. Guns of this type were made between 1937 and 1946 for the battleships of King George V class. HMS King George V, HMS Duke of York, HMS Prince of Wales, HMS Anson and HMS Howe each carried 10, arranged in 2 quadruple turrets and 2 double turrets. HMS King George V and HMS Prince of Wales played an important part of sinking Bismarcks in 1941 and HMS Duke of York in sinking Scharnhorst in 1943. Similar guns were used at Dover during the Second World War to control the straits and fire at the enemy guns near Calais. The gun in steel and consists of 2 tubes, one shrunk onto the other, and a jacket which can be seen for half the length of the gun. A massive counterweight weighing 12 tons, 12.193 kilograms, is fitted at the breech. This moves the centre of gravity towards the breech to allow greater angle of elevation. Gun and counterweights together weigh 91 tons, 92,460 kilograms. A total of 78 guns were made. William Broadmoor of Glasgow made 15, the Royal Ordnance Factory Woolwich made 24, and Vickers Armstrong Elswick made 39. This example is a number of 136 made by Vickers Armstrong in 1946, the last one of its type. It never went to sea. Second World War Admiralty decided that these battleships were obsolete. That's what you can see on the screen. That's still recording. That's a view from my Meta sunglasses. Wow. Let's have a look on the back end. Imagine loading these things up then. Wow. Amazing, amazing history. So this is Mallet's mortar. Mallet's mortar was designed in 1854 by Robert Mallet to destroy the largest fortress and end long sieges of the Crimean War, 1853 to 1856. With a bore diameter of 91.4 centimeters, it remains one of the largest artillery pieces ever built. To withstand the shock of firing, the shell was thicker around the bottom. It would penetrate at least 4.6 meters into the compacted earth before exploding, causing a minor earthquake, leaving a crater of 12.2 meter wide. The mortar itself was needed to be strong enough to withstand the huge propellant charge required. Mallet's solution was not to cast in one piece, the usual method, but to compress rings around a central tube. The design allowed for disassembly for transportation. Damaged parts could easily be replaced. To test the concept, 2 mortars were built, one test fired on Woolwich marshes. Delays to construction meant that tests did not take place until 1857. Although projectiles weighing 1 ton were successfully fired over 1.5 miles, the mortar had been damaged and repaired several times, resulting in costly repairs. The Crimean War was finished and the project seemed too expensive to continue. Mallet's great mortar was abandoned. So this is Mallet's mortar, everybody. And this is the visitor centre I walked into a little while ago just to make my announcement. And can you imagine those mortars being fired right across? Is that 1.5 miles, I believe it said on there? Mallet's mortar? Incredible. And in the screen you can actually see the naval cannon there, and also the Mallet's mortar as well in one shot. Whether we saw this on the drone footage, I would have thought we did, but I'm probably not going. I'll do it another day. Why not do it on another day? Monument. Is it in aid of Lord Nelson? Let's have a look. I think I can see that. Ah, yes, Trafalgar. Here we go. There we go. Fort Nelson takes its name from the monument erected nearby to the memory of Admiral Lord Nelson. The monument was built in 1807 to 800 donations of 2 days' pay from who served at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805 and from naval prize money. As well as being a memorial, it's also provided useful sea mark navigators. Captain Thomas Fremantle, RN, 1765-1819, managed a 3,000 fund. His architect, John Groves, was inspired by the 4th century AD obelisk at Haxo, the ancient religious capital of Ethiopia. The monument had to be rebuilt in 1899, but the bust of Nelson at the summit, looking over Portsmouth Harbour, is original. Portsdown Hill forts are named after the nearest village of settlement. Fort Nelson is the only exception and therefore enjoys a special connection with the historic monument. A commemorative ceremony is still held on the 21st of October every year to mark Trafalgar Day. The Nelson Monument is 28.3 metres high, 92 feet and 10.5 inches, and stands on 85 metres 300 feet contour. It is owned and maintained by the Ministry of Defence and the Royal Navy. So this is a magnificent monument, and such a great monument and history behind it as well. So I'll leave a link in the description with this information for you. Wow. I'll add that narrative. Don't worry about reading it, but if you wish to do so, you can click pause and read for yourselves. Else, listen to how I lay it over the video, and click the link and find out more information. I imagine Nelson's column will also be included in Wikipedia or one of those sort of sites for you, or even the AI search sites these days, Copilot, etc. And that wraps up my video. This is a little extra actually, because I wasn't planning to come over here, and it just caught my eye as I left the visitor centre to say I've done my drone flight for today. So they're all good. And, I've let the Gosport Air Traffic Control know that I'm all done, so they can fly their helicopters and light aircraft without worry. But from me anyway. Again, thanks for watching everybody. If you have liked this video, as always, feel free to like and subscribe, and leave a comment and I'll reply back to you. Thanks for watching. Lorenzo.